Climber. Today's guest is a climber, one of y'all, who recently signed his first publishing deal while he is still a full-time teacher and a father of 2 young boys. Yeah, it can be done, and we're going to talk about how Trent Fisher is doing it today on The Climb. Johnny, do that thing.
Welcome to The Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. That is the secret. It's the leverage. You focus on the leverage, everything else comes to you. That's why we call it The Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. Do you see how that makes sense? That makes the acronym now makes sense, right? That's a backsternum from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols. Got number 1s in Southern Gospel. He's got top 10s in Australia and Texas. The man is a machine making songs, making miracles happen. But you don't care about that. Here's what you care about. He helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then on the regular, he's going to give you an opportunity to connect with the pros.
That's right. I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. Listen, if you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production, singular, no S, and there's no S because come on, say it with me. Y'all know it now. Because there is no other Johnny D.
Hey, buddy, how are you, man?
I wonder how many people say that along with me.
I think, whenever I run into a climber, that's what I get. There is no other Johnny D. Like, that's right.
That's right. Dude, I'm stoked about today's episode.
Yes. I mean, what a vulgar display of prowess. Let's put it that way. I'm going to wear that out some more.
Everybody drink.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Everybody take a shot. Like, what a great story, and the epiphany that I had in the middle of the freaking episode.
Yeah,
it's also funny. You got to listen to hear that. But
I had the same epiphany halfway through. Only I just didn't say anything. I didn't call myself out on it.
I did well because I felt like a jerk. I felt stupid for opening up with the whole that feels bad now. The way I opened.
Oh yeah.
The interview.
Y'all will have to listen.
I honestly didn't know, So anyway, this is really fun. We're teasing the crap out of this right now.
That's right. What did Johnny say that he later regretted? I know. Normally it's a long list.
But I felt like I might regret it, and then I clarified, and then now I don't regret it because it was totally cool because it came across the right way. But anyway, you'll see. It's pretty good. But listen, before we get into that, let's take care of a little business here. Join the Climb community if you haven't done so already. You can go to Facebook groups and search for the Climb community, or facebook.com/groups/the Climb community. And you have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in as long as you don't look creepy or like you're trying to sell siding or roofing or something like that.
All right.
And man, this is you're going to get a lot of love, a lot of support. Ask as many questions early and often as you want. And you're going to get people that are happy to answer you and happy to share their experiences with you, maybe give you some insight. Find a co-write, find a band, find these are your peers here. And that's, I think, I don't want to speak for Brent, but I'm most proud of that. Like, how many co-writes and relationships have been created out of the Climb community that have become fruitful for these people. So I love that. And we want you to be a part of it, guys. We want to hear about your new music on Mondays on the post. Put a comment in there. We want to hear about your gigs on Thursdays. Put a comment in the post on Thursday, gig alert. And we celebrate the wins on Wednesday with the New Heights post. So what do you got this Wednesday?
Yeah, this one comes from climber Bill O'Hanlon. It's the usual suspect. Bill says that he had 2 songs placed in sync and 1 cut with an indie artist this past week. So, man, 2 placements and a cut. Come on, Bill. Keep on climbing.
Bang. You know what? Like, I feel like you said Usual Suspects. Like, which got a nickname for Bill? It should be Kaiser Sose.
That's right.
Kaiser Sose. Well, congrats, Bill. Good for you, man. Let's get into this interview.
Let's go. Today's guest was born in Southern California into a football family. His father's coaching career ultimately led them to Nashville. Their world revolved around football on Sunday afternoons, but on Sunday nights, our guest played music for friends and family. As a walk-on at Auburn University, he juggled football and music, playing for the Tigers on Saturdays and leading worship in church on Sunday mornings. If that ain't a country song, I don't know what is. So he returned to Nashville in 2017 and worked various jobs while developing his songwriting. With a desire to give back, he began teaching history and psychology at his former high school in 2019. Dedicated husband and father, his songs weave both the personal and universal. His first cut came in 2021 with Black River artist Pryor and Lee's Good Old Dogs and God. Good song, by the way. And he signed with Dream 3 Publishing in 2024. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Trent Fisher, welcome to the Climb.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Thanks for saying yes, Trent.
So Trent,
hey, before we get into anything, I got to get something off the table here.
All
right. Football. This is awesome. What do you think of my boy Jordan Love? I'm from Wisconsin. I'm a Packer fan.
He's a gamer, man. He was on fire. End of the season, into the playoffs. Like, he looked good.
Did you notice, like, the second half of the season, the game just, like, seemed to slow down for him, and he just ascended, and I was like, oh, everything is going to be okay.
He's got it. I'm not going to lie. I was worried about him at the very beginning of his career, but, man, he looked good last year.
He sure did.
That reminds me of a meme I just saw based on current events. It's like the top part of it is like, whatever, the world today, and it was just everything on fire, and then it's like boys in the South. How many days till football season?
Most of the problems go away once September gets here.
Well, I don't know. I'm a Razorback fan. A whole new set of problems just start. But that's all right. But man, thanks for joining us today. Trent, I think you and I met, I think it was like November, maybe, when we met. I was out grabbing a bite to eat, and you're kind enough to walk over and introduce yourself as a climber. And so I always love that when I get to meet climbers. But then you also had some exciting news that you couldn't share publicly then, but it's since been announced. And that was you got offered your first publishing deal. And so it was really cool to run into you that day when you and a friend were out, having dinner on that. And so I got to be there for that.
Hercules.
Absolutely. Yeah. Other than like, immediate family and my buddy who I was with, I'm like, I got to tell Brent, like, I've been listening to the show for a while. He would love to hear this. I'm like, hey, you can't tell anyone yet because we got to, get the lawyers and everything.
Right. Don't screw it up.
I had to come share. So,
and now we're turning the spotlight on and going, look at this, man. Come on, celebrate.
Yeah.
That. I love it.
Right.
And so, you've had some really cool stuff happen in, I guess, a relatively short time, like in Nashville or back in Nashville. And so for our audience of climbers, I just want to dive into some of them and see if there's like a trail of breadcrumbs for them to follow, to go, because a lot of them want to be where you are. You've gotten a cut, you're in some great rooms, which we'll talk about, and you landed a publishing deal. So that's where a lot of people want to be.
Can we start? Well, you grew up in Southern California, right?
Mm-hmm. So I was born in Pomona. My mom and dad went to USC. Dad played football at SC. So, all the cousins, aunts, uncles, both sides, everybody's from Southern Cal. We were there for a couple of years, and then my dad started coaching for the Houston Oilers and moved to Houston. And so we were in Houston for a little while, and then we, Houston Oilers became the Tennessee Oilers, and then changed the name to the Titans in '99. So, I mean, I say, born California, but really grew up in Franklin. Pretty much been here my whole life. So, When
did you start writing songs?
So nobody in my family's musical whatsoever. Dad coached, brother's a football coach. Football was kind of my dream, growing up. And started playing guitar in high school, singing in church, and like Brent said, ended up walking on at Auburn. And it was football and guitar. Like we'd have 2-a-days, and I'd go home, and we'd get done with meetings at 9, and I'd go home and play guitar till 11, and get up and go to practice, and then we'd play on Saturday, and I'd go play in church on Sunday. And so it was kind of this music was like my escape from football world. And wrote a handful of songs in college, but definitely wasn't, really something that I was trying to pursue. And then I graduated Auburn in 2014, and like music for me was, mostly it was just playing in church, playing, leading worship, and writing the occasional song here and there. I always wrote a lot, journaled and just like dumped my thoughts out on paper a ton, but wasn't really like trying to sit down and figure out how to write a song until probably, I don't know, 2017, 2018. Got back into town, and I married into a songwriting family. My father-in-law is Rodney Clausen. And so
cool.
just hanging around, my brother-in-law, Brad's a killer songwriter. Rodney and Nicole obviously are the top of the game. And just being around them as family, it kind of just rubbed off on me a little bit of like, man, I want to figure out how to do that, and Rodney would be the first to tell you, just write what you know. And so I just, and you got to write a bunch of bad songs to get to some good ones. So probably 17, 18, I started writing, and then I just kind of picked up a little bit. You start playing rounds and meeting people, and growing your circle a little bit of who you're writing with. And then next thing you know, you're meeting a publisher here, or meeting an artist there at a round, and it just kind of builds, and here we are.
Do you feel like your proximity to such a successful songwriter, all of a sudden it wasn't like a dream, it was like a Tuesday? You know what I mean? It was like it became achievable. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh, this is his job. This guy works his butt off every day on this, and just like building a house, this can be done too. Did that reframe your
honestly,
idea of it?
Honestly, not. I think what changed was, growing up, I didn't think. I've always loved music, loved guitar, but I never thought of songwriting as a career. I just didn't think of. The first time it really hit me was watching Rodney jump up and sing Amarillo Sky. I'm like, holy cow, this dude's just writing the truth about his life, and we all have this, wealth of experience and stuff that's unique to us. And yeah, it's just like, okay, I'm going to get up and work. And then when I get home, I'm going to put the pen to paper and grab the guitar and pour my heart out and see what comes out. And so, yeah, I think that my perspective definitely shifted a little bit, and just seeing their work ethics, gosh, Rodney was living in Texas and farming and writing, and like I'm a teacher. Like I've kind of found like I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing in life, and I'm going to pursue this on the side. And when I'm free, and you never know what could happen and what doors God can open, and but you got to start somewhere,
Yeah.
So,
now, are you still teaching, or are you doing music full time?
I am. I'm still teaching. So it's a unique kind of deal. Like, even to have Dream 3 take a chance on me, and I got 2 kids, I got a wife, and so it's a huge blessing to still be able to teach, and then be able to write it. A lot of guys during the fall or spring are cool with the afternoon write, and then I got the whole summer, and I got breaks here and there, spring break, fall break, where I can write every day during the week. But yeah, it's a unique deal, but it's also just a really awesome opportunity.
So
That's
when you
very
say
cool.
unique, sorry, Brent, it sounds like the publishing company flexed to you, like to
Yeah.
sort of accommodate your lifestyle. I love that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a value bomb right there. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I met Greg Hill, who's started his career in publishing and got into management, but met Greg through a buddy actually that I played at Auburn with, who used to work for Greg, and my buddy hit me up. He was like, "Hey, man, Greg's starting this, got this new publishing company. I think you should, hit him up, send him some songs." And I just been writing my butt off, like trying to
Mhm.
meet folks and playing rounds, and like I said, grow my circle, and then met Greg, sent him a bunch of songs. He loved them. And he was like, "Hey, let me book you some rights." And I didn't know at the time that they were kind of like test rights, like him
Yeah.
getting me in the room with some people that he trusted to kind of one, see what we could come up with, but kind of get their feedback. And he loved what we wrote. And he said, "Hey, I think there's a way for us to find a kind of craft a deal that would work for both of us, where you can keep doing what you're doing, then also find the time to write and get you in some awesome rooms." And Greg and Laurel and Emily over there are a great team with a lot of experience. And so, yeah, I'm beyond thankful to, get to do what I'm doing. So
That's encouraging to me. I mean, just seeing that, because one of the challenges I know when I first moved to Nashville, I moved there without a job, which is something I said I wouldn't do. But I moved there and it's like I don't have a job. I got a place to stay. I don't have a job yet, and trying to figure out, do I take like wait tables at night, because then I can write during the day, but because that's when the pros write. But I'm not a pro yet, and so how am I going to meet those people, get in those rooms during the daytime, and then if I take
right,
a day job, well, then I can go out at night, do the networking. But a lot of pros don't write at night. So therefore, if I meet them, how am I going to have time to write? There's that kind of almost feels like
right,
a catch-22. But it's encouraging to me just to hear that, okay, you can get enough high level writes in afternoons, after you get off school, which is
right,
cool. Cause I do that when I come into town and I'm booking mornings, afternoons. I'll write at night. I'll write at midnight
right,
if I can, just whenever
right.
people are available.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. So you haven't had too much pushback on that. They've been all right keeping you booked on that with good rides.
Yeah. I mean, it's so we started talking, like I said, I saw you and told you that we were talking the deal back in November, and
Mhm.
they started booking rights for me as we were getting the deal wrapped up. So it was, whether it's snow days or President's Day or what, there's days like that throughout the year where I've
Yeah.
got mornings. And then it's a little bit of a logistical hurdle, but
Hmm.
I think it was Tom Douglas who said, if the art's compelling, they'll pay you for it. So
Yeah.
it's like, as long as it doesn't matter when I write the song, if the song's great, I can write it at midnight, I can write it at 3, I can write it at 11 a.m. So,
Amen.
um, and I think another thing that is helpful is just the rhythm of life, right? Working and being a dad gives me the time to come up with great ideas and have stuff so that those writes are a lot more productive.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm thankful to be like, I mean, I told Greg, I said, "Hey, look, I'm not a 21-year-old kid moving to town, living out of my car and going to write every day at 10 a.m. That's not me." And he said, that's not what I want. Like you living your life and being a dad and working gives you a unique experience that brings something to your songs that the 21-year-old moving here, eating PB&Js every night doesn't have. So,
Hmm.
it's, it's crazy how it all works out. Like I said, I'm just really thankful for the opportunity and to have them supporting me and believing in my songs and, getting me in awesome rooms. It's really a blessing.
That's great. One thing, looking back at your bio and stuff. So in 2021, you landed your first cut with Black River artists Pryor and Lee on Good Old Dogs and God. And I looked that song up to listen to it again because it's been a while since I heard it. And then I looked up the writers. So Doug Johnson, LV Shane, Adam Wood, and yourself. I'm like,
Right.
okay. So this is before you landed your first cut. and no
I feel like if
publishing
you keep
deal.
eating your Wheaties, Trent,
Yeah.
that
So
you
this
could
is
get
a
us some better room.
this is a wild story.
Okay,
I'll tell you
so
this story.
for the listeners, I just want to set the bar. So LV Shane has since had a #1 as an artist with My Boy. Adam Wood, hit songwriter, been in town long time. Doug Johnson wrote Three Wooden Crosses. He's the head of the label over the running things over at Black River. How the crap did you get in that room with no cuts and no pub deal?
This is wild. So long story. Well, I'll just tell a story. So we're big hunters, big fishermen in our family. My dad, brother, and I. And when it's not football season, that's what we're doing is hunting and fishing. And my brother was looking at a new riverboat, and he talked to somebody at the fly shop who's like, "Oh, I know somebody who's got one of these boats," and it turned out being Doug's stepson, Will. And so my dad goes fishing with Lisa Johnson's son, and they're just fishing all day. My dad's checking out this boat, thinking about buying one similar, and I think he was helping out. I don't know exactly. I think he was doing some stuff with Lee Bryce, maybe TMing, or I'm not exactly sure, but he was doing some music business work. And my dad starts talking to Will, and my dad's like, "Yeah, my son's a songwriter, writing songs," and Will's like, "Oh, he should get in a room with Doug, and I'm sure Doug would write with him." And my dad calls me and he's like, "Hey, you want to write with Doug Johnson?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Is that a trick question?
I'm like, "Is that are you joking?" And so literally, I mean, first time I'm like on Music Row, I'm writing with Doug and LV, and I had something that I've been working on, had a cool idea, and me, Doug, LV wrote a really cool song, and this might have been 2020, I think. And I mean, that was my first time writing on Music Row was with Doug and LV. And man, I was a little nervous, but they loved the idea. We wrote a really cool song, and then we just kept writing. And me and LV, he introduced me to some guys that he was writing with, and then I think Doug's wife Lisa set that one up. Like, "Hey, you want to come write with Doug?" And because Lisa's got a publishing company, and so yeah, they set that one up. Me, Doug, Adam, and LV, and we wrote that song. And Doug was producing Pryor and Lee, and so there you go. Great, crazy story. All starting from a fishing boat,
But you know what? That would have ended. It very easily could have ended with Doug Johnson going, "Oh my gosh, my stepson went trying to sell a boat." And he calls and it gets me on the line to write with some guy like, "Oh, my son writes songs. Great."
Yeah.
What the heck have you gotten me into? Right. That's how that story should have ended, with Doug going, "Don't ever do that again, please." That sucks.
Well, and it's cool because that
did.
I continued, and I still write with Doug. Doug's a good friend, and he's been super helpful along the way. Like, we write quite a bit, and then it was through Doug that I met Doug. He called me one day. He said, "Hey, come play the Freak Show. I got some people I want you to meet." And I had heard of Freak Show, but and had gone and watched buddies play, but I hadn't been able to jump up there and sing yet. So Doug brought me, and he's getting up there singing all his hits, and I'm singing I'm a new songwriter, and I'm trying to hold my own next to Doug, which is tough. And but that led me to Terry Joe Box, who's become an awesome friend, and Scott Sean White, and just a lot of people who are now feel more like my songwriting family. So really thankful, which it's wild that all that from, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a new boat, and here's a guy who's got one."
Yeah, and I think that's where preparation meets opportunity. Obviously, you couldn't have manufactured that meeting with Doug Johnson that way. That was not planned, but somehow he said yes, and you did your homework, and you worked up a cool idea to bring into the room. You brought a dish to the potluck, right? And thankfully they liked it. And then when you showed up, you had the goods to get back in the room.
Right.
Again, that story should have gone like, well, that was a waste of Doug's afternoon, but it wasn't, because you had the goods. And so you got back in. And when a lot of people want that opportunity, but if they haven't put the work in ahead of time to have the song, to have, like, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to let Doug Johnson write me a song and he's going to go do all the work. That would have been a one-off.
Yeah. Yeah. Those guys, they don't need any more songs, they've got plenty of songs. So it's, as you're the newer guy in the room, you got to bring a cool angle, a cool title, something, saying something fresh in a cool way. And then you get to kind of learn and see some of the tools that they got in their tool belt that they've developed over all the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a cool little trade-off, when you're writing up with somebody like that. I've just kind of found, I'm kind of banking on trying to bring a great idea. And then I've just found there's always something to learn in every room that you go in, and some days you're driving the bus, and then other days somebody else is on fire and you're just, just helping
the sail and writing down the words as quick as you can.
That's exactly right. And it's just, it all kind of works out, but you definitely have to be, if you're not putting in the work, getting up, working on ideas, studying other songs, like working on your craft, then you're kind of walking into, it's like you gotta keep the gun loaded when you show up. You gotta bring something.
Well, that's one thing that I think is super interesting. So, Casey Beathard, he comes from an NFL family as well, high achieving NFL family. And then, of course,
who is, by the way, my, hands down favorite songwriter of all time. So
he's great and great dude, and so then going, okay, you growing up around the NFL as well, or USC, high level programs, going to Auburn. Who was coaching when you were at Auburn?
So I walked on. My first year was 2010. We won the national championship with Cam Newton.
There you go.
I redshirted, and then I got on special teams. Played in 8 games my sophomore. So Chiswick was our head coach.
Gene Chiswick,
But I broke an ankle at LSU, and then got a scholarship going in the next year. Played 2 more years after that. So my last year we finished up with Malzahn coming back.
Okay, cool. So what I found interesting, you've been around a lot of very high achievers and programs and things. And then you go in, and some of your first ride on Music Row was Doug freaking Johnson. And I'm curious, like, the culture of songwriters. Like, I have some friends that, like in the Southern gospel world, have had tons of number ones, like 30 something number ones. The conversations in those rooms and the expectations are different than writing with people that are on the way up. There's just like a different mindset. And I would imagine, and I'm curious to see if you thought about this, going, there's just a different expectation, a different work ethic, a different whatever it is on these high achieving cultures that you've been around from the people that aren't making it. Whether it's going, I'm going to put in the extra work, I'm going to have this attention to detail, I'm going to show up prepared, I'm going to avert, and I've got to go earn it, versus, oh, I just somehow expect the universe to give it to me because I'd like to do this thing.
Right.
And I don't even know if there's a question in there, but I'm sure there's something in there that affects probably your work ethic and your mindset.
Yeah, I guess what comes to mind is just, when I was playing in college, I didn't have a choice but to give it everything I had. I was, especially like originally not being a scholarship guy, it was like I have to prove that I belong here. And
you gotta outwork everybody.
Yeah, you got to outwork every single person, like every sprint, every rep, because that's the only way that I'm going to get noticed, And so you're just grinding 24/7. And
what position did you play?
I played safety. So it was the kind of the typical slow, white, smart safety,
Yeah. What was it, Jason Sehorn? That you probably poster up in your locker. Yeah.
There's not many white DBs around,
No.
But no, so you definitely, it's you're working your tail off, you're grinding, but I think the other piece is just like you wouldn't be there if you weren't like, you're there. That means you're supposed to be there. Right.
Yeah.
So I think there's maybe a little bit of just kind of trust in the process and kind of some confidence that comes like, I mean, once I got on the bus and started playing in games, it was like, you got a little confidence of, man, like, no, I belong here. I don't, and so I think how that maybe relates to, you get in a room with somebody that you've been excited and fired up to write a song with, and so you prepare and you're on your A game and you guys write a cool song, and it's kind of like, I belong here. I can do this,
Yeah.
And I think that just builds momentum. And then, gosh, there's always days where you don't finish a song, or maybe an idea doesn't get fleshed out the way you thought it was. And it's easy to kind of, gosh, should I be doing this? Like that little voice trying to tell you to quit or give up never goes away. You just got to learn how to set it over on the table and, figure out a way to let it motivate you as opposed to get you to, cash it in. So
it's going to motivate you one way or the other.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Totally. It's like you can
you have to focus on that.
Yeah, you can let it be the thing that, I heard someone say once, you can't listen to yourself, you got to talk to yourself. And it's like, man, if you listen to that voice that says, oh, you're not any good, like, because, man, I felt that, in college, you'd miss a tackle, miss a big play, blow a coverage or something. And it's like, oh, that can, if you ruminate on that, man, you're toast. Like,
gotta have that short memory. Yeah.
And it's the same. I feel like that translates to a lot of different areas,
Yeah. I think, and I've blogged about this, and we might have done an episode on this years ago, like 6-7 years ago. But the fact that we're all walk-ons in the music business, very few people are extended to scholarships. Please come to Music Row. We would love to have you, and we'll pay you, for whatever. Right. No, we're all walk-ons. Like, they didn't send for me. Like, I showed up as like, I'd like to play. Like, we're gonna have to earn a spot, and eventually I got on scholarship.
By the way, I'd like to point out the obvious here is that if you're listening to this episode from the beginning, and your first thought is, well, oh, okay, you can have a story like Trent. Step one, marry Rodney Clausen's daughter.
Right.
Like, that's how it happened, right? Not how it happened.
Not how it happened.
Not how it happened at all. Like,
I'll tell you, I think one of the things that helped with that was, like, I saw throughout my whole life, people, my dad was the head coach in the NFL forever. And so people always coming up to me wanting to talk about football and, hey, how's your dad doing? Like, how's Jeff? How's it? Da, 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 da. And it was like, that just left such a bad taste in my mouth that I never, ever wanted to ask Rodney anything about songwriting, and I just knew from watching his son, Brad, and his process, like, Brad did it by himself, like, Rodney knew that, like, trying to help make it happen for Brad was only going to put him in a bad situation. Like, you gotta earn your stripes, and you got to do it your own, or it's not going to last. And it's the same with coaching. Like, my brother's been just working his way up in the NFL, coaching in college. It's like, you just got to do it on your own. And so, other than, I feel like I talked to Rodney a little bit more once I started getting into the deal process. Hey, how does this work? That was really helpful in terms of just navigating it. But, man, he would, like, I feel like the best advice he ever gave me was write every day and write what you know. And other than that, like, you can't, with songwriting, you can't just, hey, man, let me help you, show you how to become what I've been in this business. Like, it doesn't work that way. You just you write what you know, and you write every day, and you write 100 bad songs to get one good song, So.
Yep. So I got a question for you. I love the way that you phrased it when you got into like the room with Doug and with LB, and you got to see the tools in their tool belt, right? And can you think of like one or two epiphanies or aha moments you had where like lessons that you learned where you're just like, oh man, I'm stealing that and I'm going to put that in my tool belt. Like from being in rooms like that, where that just maybe a seminal moment where,
Yeah. I guess one thing that comes to mind, writing with Terry Jo Box a lot, like I feel like she does a great job of trying to kind of roadmap a song before you dive in to writing it, you know? And I feel like I am kind of starting to operate that way, where I kind of want to at least talk about the skeleton of the song before we start trying to get into it too deep.
Yeah.
And that has just been super helpful. And like, I mean, to, shout out you guys, like the song title challenge, man, I'll be driving to work and I'll just throw on a song title challenge because that gets me thinking like a writer, like I feel like
I love that.
short of like being in a room with somebody, like there's days I'm driving in, it's like, all right, I got to teach, US history at 8:00, but I'm in the car driving into work and I'm listening to you guys chat with somebody, just thinking about all the different ways we can approach a title. It almost feels like I've got a little 30-minute co-write because I'm just sitting in the car listening to y'all. And I'm like, oh, I might do it this way. And then I hear Johnny say, what if we did it that way? And I'm like, I was just thinking that. So yeah, I mean, definitely like.
Which is exactly how Johnny would say it. Like,
yeah, trying to like just kick it around a little bit,
Yeah.
And I mean, this maybe isn't necessarily a tool, but just something I've learned is like, it ought to be a no free zone. Like anything goes. You should be able to say anything, no judgment. Never tell anybody no, because if you don't like something, just don't say anything and try to think of something better to come up with. Because you might say something that makes me think of the thing that unlocks the whole song.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
Does keep the ball
bouncing.
bouncing.
That's happened several times in the song title challenge, just doing that, even though we didn't write the song, but it was just like, oh, that's the winner. That's the game ball right there. And it came from something like totally stupid that I said,
But I mean, little things that, you might feel like you're set on a line, and then you get to the end of the line and you're like, I mean, something simple as changing a rhyme. Like, hey, like if we're stumped on a line, like I was writing yesterday with Russell Sutton and Scott Sean White, and they're two of my favorite writers in town. And
I love Scott Sean White. He's like one of my favorite humans on the planet.
Yes, salt of the earth. Yeah. But like, man, we were stuck on a line, and then just like someone's like, hey, what if we change that rhyme thing up, or what if we let that line kind of lead into the next line so that rhyme can hit on the following word? Something simple as just changing a rhyme, can really help you figure out something better that you got to say. And I know that's really simple, but I would not have thought of that, the first time I was writing with Doug. So
love that.
Are you more lyric or melody, or are you kind of ambidextrous that way?
I would probably say a little more lyric, but it kind of just depends on the song. Like, I feel like it's easier for me to find a cool melody when I got a cool lyric. I feel like,
a little more lyric first.
But that's, I don't think there's a right or wrong. And some days it's a guitar lick. And it, depending on who you're writing with too, it's like I've been in rooms with artists where I throw out what I think are a bunch of really cool titles, and you could just hear a pin drop, and I'm like, okay, awesome. And
is this thing on? Hello.
And then I'm like, oh, well, I got this vibe, and I play this guitar lick, and everybody's like, oh, heck yeah. And then we write a cool song. So it's like every room's different. Every write's different. And it's, along with putting in the work to bring ideas and bring lyrics and bring melodies and cool musical stuff is just like be a Scott Shawn White, like be somebody that people want to hang out with, and be
Yeah.
somebody that is life-giving, and be someone that, you know, encourages the other people that you're with. Like I think it's really easy to have the mindset, and Scott and I talk about this a lot. It's really easy to think, oh man, if I could just get in this room, if I could just get this song, if I could just get the cut, if I could just get the deal. And it's like, kind of are missing the fact that like we're here to be a light to other people, you know, and just love on people and have a good time, and, you know, be, like I said, be somebody who's life-giving, who's enjoyable to be around. And it's like, gosh, every time I write with Scott, whether we finish a song or whether we don't finish the song, I'm just so happy that I got to be around the guy for 3 hours, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that being that type of person goes a long way. I mean, at least that's my philosophy. And you can't, you know, you don't know what doors are going to open and what doors are going to shut along the way. So it's just a lot more enjoyable ride if you're, you know, just treating people the way you want to be treated and trying to be a light, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so much talent in town that they ain't got to work with you if you're a pain. They can find other talent. Like that is not hard to find.
Yeah.
So that's an easy decision to make. Like there's a hard no. It's a Pasadena right there. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like I need this. Like I need a hole in the head. I don't need any, you know, you want to be like, it's a pleasure working for you, not a pressure working against you.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Now, one thing, around the time that we met, you had also won first place in the American Songwriter Magazine's lyric contest. It was for like the November-December 2023 issue with the Jonas Brothers on the cover.
Yeah.
And so I think I had just seen that, or I just saw that like right after I met you or right before. But it's a song you wrote with Terry Joe Box and Russell Sutton. So congrats on that.
Yep.
And I'm curious because a lot of climbers, a lot of Songwriting Pro members, you know, have entered lyrics, and we've had, you know, some of our community members win the first place and that kind of stuff for those months. I'm just curious, like, what did you see from that? As far as, was that something that, now you're already, you know, definitely in talks with Dream 3 and stuff, but was that something you could leverage or shine a spotlight on you? I'm just kind of curious what happened from that.
I mean,
was a little bit, you know, the fire was already kind of lit.
I think the fire was maybe kind of already lit a little bit. My a friend and co-writer of mine, Mason Cavness, won like the whole thing a couple of years ago, and had, you know, or his wasn't like the monthly. His song was like chosen for the year long or whatever, and so I forget when it was when I submitted. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna submit this, and then I was kind of shocked. They called me like, hey, you got first place for this you know, issue or whatever. And that was kind of right around the time of, I mean, so that was the November issue, and that was kind of right after, you know, I started talking with Dream 3 and they said they wanted to sign me. So not that it really changed much. I think, obviously it didn't hurt. You know, it's pretty awesome just to have other people celebrate something you created. And I think maybe just kind of gave me some affirmation of like, hey, you know, keep doing this, like keep chasing it, keep writing, and get to the next one, you know, go write another one, go write one that's better. But yeah, so in terms of like career shaking or doors opening, not really much, but I mean, I also led to some, you know, met some people, like met Dean Fields, a guy who works over there at the magazine that I started writing with. Even that was just like a cool relationship. He and I started writing some cool songs together. So yeah.
I love that.
I know for me, it was like, you know, I just met you and then I saw it in the magazine. I was like, oh crap, he's writing with Terry Joe and Russell. Okay. It kind of went from like this pile over here to this pile over here, as Johnny talks about.
He's got moves like Jagger.
Oh, so that's how he rolls.
Yeah. So I'm actually
for the record, I have to say something for the record here. So your story comes to me through Brent, right? Brent's like, hey, I've got this guy Trent. He's a songwriter. He's a climber, and that's the headline for me. You're a climber, and he's got a pub deal. I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's do that show. That's gonna be a great story, you know. And that's all I hear about it. Okay, and then I get your email address today to send you the pod link. So we go down this road, and then I hear the introduction. Okay, and I'm like, Southern California football stuff. Oh, cool. Hey, man, like let's talk about the Green Bay Packers because that's my favorite subject. You know? And then halfway through this freaking interview, I'm like, wait a second. Your dad's Jeff Fisher?
Oh, yeah. Same for me. I didn't know that either.
I had no freaking idea. I just knew you liked football, and I'm like, oh my god, let's talk about Green Bay because I'll talk about that with anybody.
Hey, I'll talk about Green Bay with anybody.
So that's good.
So, yeah.
Like, what is your week look like? Just out of curiosity. I mean, like how many writes
like during school year?
During the school year, during your heaviest load, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I got 2 kids also. I'm, married. I got 2 boys. I got my oldest, he turned 2 at the end of March, and then my wife and I have a 1-month-old. And
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. We're trying to steal sleep whenever we can. So I've been teaching and writing for, like I started teaching in 2019, and I mean, nothing's changed. Like now I will say I was coaching football. And so I started coaching in 2017 and then got a master's. I was like, oh, I want to be a teacher. And that, like, I was kind of just starting to write. So writing and music was still just kind of like a kind of hobby, passion, just something to blow off steam. And then just as things kind of progressed, it was like, man, I got engaged, got married, had kids. Like I can't keep coaching football. Like I want to be home, be with my boy. And so I guess this summer is writing as much as I can. Before I had the deal, it was, just trying to book people whenever I could. And if I didn't have a write that day, I'm waking up and working on stuff, or stuff late at night, just trying to come up with things. And then now with the deal, it's write as much as I can during the summer. And then, probably anywhere 2 to 3 afternoons. I'm done at 3, and I guess a lot of guys who are down for an afternoon write start at 3:30. So, just a couple days a week. And then, when I get a week off for fall break, I'll write 4 or 5 days, and I get, so it's, like I said, it's not a typical first deal. But
I think it's brilliant that you're able to craft that for yourself, though. Yeah. I mean, there's one of the biggest business lessons I learned is that there's, where this isn't about Nashville, it's about wherever you are, but there's plenty of people in this town that will do business your way.
Right.
And you had some specific ways that had to happen for you to be able to do that. And, to your point, or I guess it was to Tom Douglas's point, if the art's compelling, somebody's going to pay you for it. Someone's going to say, hey, well, we can make this look a little different so that we can accommodate your schedule and do all that. So that's cool as hell, man. That's really, congratulations on that, dude.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. And I look at it too, that, having that steady paycheck gives you a longer leash or a longer runway with the publishing stuff to, obviously I don't know the details of your deal or anything, but if I were in that situation, I'd be like, okay, I don't need as much of a draw. I need I need the Rolodex. I need you hooking
Maybe
me up,
you're
helping
better
me
pub
fly
deal
my
too.
flag. You know,
Right.
get me in the right rooms. Yeah, I can't be there all the time, but here's when I can be there. Get me in the right rooms. And, you know, I don't need it. I don't have to live off this draw. Let's go win. Which, you know,
Right.
for a publisher would be like, okay, well, you know, it's always give and take. But I would think as a publisher, like, okay, we don't have as much. Like, again, I don't know your deal, but just in general, if that were the thing going, okay, well, if you don't need as much of a draw, then we can keep at this a little bit longer to make sure something happens. And hopefully it happens
Right.
quickly. But if it doesn't, you're not the first one raising your hand going, cut me.
Right.
Like, you know, if something doesn't happen quickly, because
Yeah.
most of the time in the music business, it doesn't. And the people that are like demanding big draws, they have a lot shorter time frame in which to make something happen.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, it is like, I don't know, maybe there have been deals done like this. I don't know how many publishing companies in Nashville have ever signed a teacher, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just for the season of life that I'm in, I couldn't have drawn it up any better, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm just really thankful for Greg and Emily and Laurel. And I mean, all the guys over there, the other writers are just awesome and great people. And they have felt like family since the first day we met, you know? So, yeah, I'm just excited and writing every day, you know, trying, like I said, you still got to show up prepared, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like, I'm still finding time. Like I get both the kids down and go down and work on some ideas for an hour before bed, or cause it doesn't stop, you know, there's somebody. I love too, though. It's just, it's awesome looking at the calendar and being like, heck yeah, man, I got this guy tomorrow and this dude on Friday. Like, it's so exciting, you know, like I said, coming from football world and nobody in my family playing music, and just kind of jumping into it, something that I'm passionate about, and seeing where it's going is just really exciting. And I'm just really thankful.
That's great, man. That's great. It's good to see that stuff happening for you. Love it.
Yep. And none of it happened by accident, man. I mean, this is been well crafted like a song. And that's, you know, mad respect for that, Trent. That's really, really well done. Like,
yeah.
well done.
Thank you guys.
I can't wait. We want to go to the number one party, the first one. Like, let's go.
That's right. Awesome. We don't demand, but we humbly submit ourselves for the number one party. That's right.
I just said I want to. I want to.
Yeah. No, and if I steal it from a songwriting challenge, I will definitely call you. You guys will be there.
Well, there you go, man. Well, that is so. What's next for you? I mean, like, is there a moment that you see yourself maybe not teaching anymore? Like, if certain planets align?
That's a great question. I don't. It's something that it's like that would be an awesome problem to have, you know, because that would mean
it's a high class problem.
Yeah, that would mean that I've written a killer song with some people that's doing awesome things. And so I don't, you know, I guess I'm not thinking that far ahead, Johnny. It's like, man, I want to be the best dad I can be.
Come to you.
I want to be the best dad, best husband. And like, I want to love the kids that I get to work with every day. And, you know, I want to be a great hang in the room, and I want to bring great ideas. And like, it's like, I just want to show up, do the best I can, and not, it's like, you can't control all that other stuff. I've spent so much time worrying about trying to make all that stuff happen. And that's just, that just leads to anxiety, you know? It's like,
what grade do you teach?
So I teach, mostly juniors and seniors. I teach AP psychology and U.S. history. So I got mostly 11th and 12th. But that's cool too. Just like, I hear stuff in the classroom, I'm like, oh, yep, that's a song title. Like some kid just said something.
You're plugged right into the audience that you're writing.
That's true.
You know, every now, I don't do it as much as I used to, but every every now and then I'm like, all right, you guys want to hear another one? Tell me, is this, it's like my little A&R crew in there, all the students, is this any
I
good?
love
Like,
that.
we like this one better. You should maybe pitch that one.
Oh, that's funny.
So no, it's
Well,
awesome.
should there ever come a day, Trent, when you do have that high class problem and you choose to not teach, there'll be a loss there too. I mean,
Yeah.
my experience, I suppose, is the same as everybody's experience in school, and that is that I can count my good teachers
Yeah.
on one hand. They're hard to the ones that were inspiring, that were truly had that energy that you knew were like whatever this person says, I want to take it all in. I want to soak it all in, and they were the ones that think outside the box, that were creative. They weren't just there to get through 30 years and collect a pension. How's life,
Right.
Bob? Taking forever. Like I mean, they had that they were doers, and they just were like positive. And
Right.
so I know just from talking with you, like, what a great experience that is. It's like we might be hearing a new song that's about to be on the radio or something like that for these kids. And like I come from a football family. I also busted my butt to become a teacher and be able to help you guys here and add value to this. And then I also do this on the side, which at a high level, and it's like, okay, this can be done. Like I can, you're an inspiration, dude. I love that.
Thank you, man. I feel like, going back just a tiny bit, like it was probably 2016, 17. Like I'd been doing ministry post college. I moved home and did some other stuff. And then I thought, oh, you know what? What do musicians do? Well, they work at a coffee shop and and they're broke and they try to make it happen. And I tried that and I was miserable because I didn't feel like I was pouring out anywhere,
Yeah.
And so that's
being productive.
I was writing, I was playing guitar, I was doing that stuff, but like I was, making coffee and making smoothies at Franklin Juice Bar, and I wasn't like pouring out. And so that's what got me into teaching and coaching football, because I wanted to, I had to be like pouring out, and and so like I said, who knows, there would be a great problem to have one day, but I don't even worry about that. It's like, like I said, best dad, best teacher, best writer I can be, and all the other stuff will sort itself out. It's not going to help worrying about it. Like, why stress about it?
That's right. Because as you know, in football, you got this whole game plan, and then somebody gets hit, and you're like, okay, well, all that work we thought and spent thinking about that just changed, and now we're gonna call this audible on the fly and do something totally different. And that's
you plan all week for Alabama to come out and 2 tight end sets, and then they come out and spread, and you're like, all right, this is an audible here. We got to change this up on the fly.
Yeah.
Everything we just spent, 40 hours thinking about, just right out the window. And now we're going to go with our gut.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, man, what a great story that you have. And thank you for sharing it with us on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really do think, Brent, you were spot on. I mean, this is like, he just signed this deal. Like, this all just happened. Like, this is, you're closer than you think, but you got to be doing the work, right? This whole thing doesn't happen if you don't put in the reps that you need before you walk in that room with Doug and LP.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
So I think that you obviously, come from a family that preaches work ethic and reps, and like, hey, whatever you're going to do, you got to do it at a high level. And I think too many writers out there are and artists too, are either waiting for the big break to decide to get to work, right? Because they need that validation first, or waiting for I'm just going to see how these 3 songs do before I decide if I'm going to. I feel like those people are choosing music as opposed to music choosing them. It's like, I'm going to do this one way or the other. Bravo! Oh my God, I'm going to do this one way or the other. And I'm sorry, my dog is like running around. it just doesn't happen without all the reps before that. So
Mhm.
to your point, Brent, opportunity meets preparation.
Yep. So, well, while he's chasing his indoor horse, he calls a dog. There he goes as he kicks him out the door there. Not literally kicking. He's a big dog. Anyway, but man, thank you so much for being here and just sharing your story with us and all that good stuff. And so, y'all, I'll close it for Johnny. Oh wait, here he comes. He's gonna be able to do the thing.
Coming back. Sorry.
All right, I was just closing her down so you could do. I was going to do your part of the closing.
Well, thank you again for saying yes, Trent. Best continued
Absolutely.
success for you, my man.
Thank you,
This
guys.
takes us into another killer climb episode. Y'all, this can be you. Just get those reps in, do that work, and trust me, the you make your own luck, right?
Mhm.
That's it.
That's right.
This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.
Who write a great